Hello friends, a very warm welcome to the Crochet Hook channel. Today we are going to learn how to make this colorful crochet purse. This is a colorful and zipped clutch. It's been lined with the fabric as well as with the thin foam from inside. See how spacious it is, and it's very elegant too. You can carry it with a sari or with a suit or with any Indian or Western attire. I have made two of the kind and both of them look stunningly beautiful. See, just use the colors of your choice and you are through. So let's go ahead and see how to make this elegant clutch for yourself. So let's quickly see what all we need to make this beautiful purse. First of all, I have taken a number of colorful acrylic yarn. Choose colors of your choice. Secondly, I used a 3.5mm crochet hook. Nextly, a zipper, a few beads for the decoration, cotton thread for sewing needle, safety pins, few stitch markers. I have used this cardboard notebook to make the tassel, a zipper matching to the lining or the purse, whichever way. Nextly, a fabric lining to line the purse with the fabric, and here I have used this thin sheet of foam as well as an interfacing to line my purse. You can completely skip the step of lining your bag with this interface and simply use the fabric lining with the zipper to line the bag, and that will still be awesome. I have used this because this foam gives a very good structure to hold. And so let's begin and see how to make this beautiful colorful purse. To begin with, we will first make a ring. So make a slip knot and chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and then slip stitch into the very first chain to make it into a ring like this. Now chain 1, and here into this ring we will be making 8 SCs. See, the ring is here. So insert the hook into the ring and begin making the SCs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the last one 8. And now we are going to slip stitch into the first SC. Make sure that you don't slip stitch into this chain 1. So this is our SC. Here insert the hook and slip stitch to join the ring like this. Now nextly, for round 2, just count it that you have 8 SCs in the ring. Now chain 3 and into the very space we are going to make 4 DCs. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Chain 3 and 4 DCs make it into 5 DCs. So now insert the hook into the chain 3 at the top of it and then into the stretched up loop. Tighten it up, pull it through to make a slip stitch. A popcorn is made. Chain 3 into the next SC. Make 5 DCs here. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Again insert into the very first DC at the top of it, then into the stretched up loop, tighten it up, pull it through. Another popcorn is made into the next SC. chain 3, and again into the next SC make 5 DCs. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Again insert at the top of the first DC, then into the stretched up loop, tighten it up, pull it through, a popcorn is made, chain 3. Into the next SC again we are going to make a popcorn of 5 DCs. 1, 2, and like this I have made all the popcorns and the last one to make. So I'm going to make 5 DCs here. Three, 4 and 5, and now making it into a popcorn and chain 3, and here at the top of the first popcorn into this space where we actually slip stitch it, make a slip stitch like this. This makes our first flower of popcorns. Now I'm going to change the color here. I'll cut this and secure the thread with the knot, and I'm joining a red color here. Into any chain 3 space, just join the yarn of your choice. I simply put the knots and that's it. And now into that very space, insert the hook, pull up a loop and chain 3. And then into that very space make 4 DCs. 1, 2, 3 and 4. So this counts as 5 DCs. Make a popcorn out of it, the same way we used to do. A popcorn is made, chain 2, and into the very space make 5 DC in the same chain 3 space below. We are making 2 popcorns here. 3, 4 and one more, 5. Insert at the top of the first DC into the stretched up loop, tighten it up, pull it through, chain 2. Then into the next chain 3 space we are going to make 2 popcorns of this kind, separated by chain 2. So 5 DCs, make a popcorn of these 5 DCs like this, chain 2, one more popcorn in the same chain 3 space. Make it into a popcorn. Again we have 2 popcorns in chain 3 space, chain 2, and like this only we gonna go all the round. So I have completed all the popcorns. The last popcorn 4 DCs are left, 2, 3 and 4, and now I have 5 DCs made, making the last popcorn. Chain 2 and slip stitch into the slip stitch space of the first very popcorn here like this. Pull up a loop and slip stitch to join the circle. So here another round of flower is made. Nextly I'm going to change the yarn, so I'll just cut it out, put my green color in. You can join it in any chain 2 space, pull up a loop and chain 3. And firstly we are going to make the corner of the square. So chain 3 and make 2 DCs in the same space. The chain 2 space we joined the yarn. Chain 2 and 3 DCs into that very space. 1, 2 and 3. So basically in the corner we made 3 DCs, chain 2 and 3 DCs. In the next very space make 3 HDCs, half double crochet. 1, 2 and 3. In the next very space again 3 HDCs. 1, 2 and 3, and one more time in the next chain 2 space we're gonna make 3 HDCs. So 3 times we go for making a group of 3 HDCs. 2 and 3, and so here one corner and 3 times HDCs are made. And nextly it's time to create another corner, so yarn over, make 3 DCs in the next space. 1, 2 and 3, chain 2, 3 more DCs into the same chain 2 space. This creates the corner, second corner. 3. So first and second corners are made, and we will proceed the same way. Into the next space make 3 HDC. 1, 2 and 3. Into the next space make 3 HDCs. 2 and 3. One more time into the next chain 2 space, 3 HDCs. 1, 2 and 3. And now is the time to create a corner. 3 DCs. 1, 2, 3, chain 2 and 3 DCs in the same chain 2 space. 1, 2 and 3. So we have created 3 corners of the square, one more corner to make, and then proceed till the end. So it's turn for another corner. 3 DCs in the chain 2 space. 1, 2 and 3. Chain 2. 3 more DCs into the same chain 2 space. 1, 2 and 3. This creates a 4th corner, and we'll just go for 3 times making 3 HDCs in the 3 spaces left here. Into the next space make 3 HDCs. One time, second time as well, make 3 HDCs. 1, 2 and 3, and the last time 3 HDCs in the next space. Here 1, 2 and 3. And to join the square, just slip stitch into the 3rd chain here at the top of it, like this. So this completes our square. We need 6 such squares to make the purse. Cut the thread, secure the knot, I have my other squares ready. We need 6 such squares, so get ready. So here, to join the 2 squares together, I have put the stitch markers like this, and now front facing the front of the square, keep the squares like this, and we are going to stitch it together. With your needle and the thread, insert the needle into the chain 2 space of the 2 squares. And nextly, we are only going to insert the needle into the front loops of both the squares, front loop of this square and front loop of this square, and pull through lightly. Front loop of the back square, front loop of the front square, and we will just keep the stitches light. Into the front loop of first square here, and into every stitch juxtaposed to each other, we will be putting our needle into the front loops like this. Into the front loops from that side, then into the front loops from this side like this, into the front loop from that side, both the squares, and into the front loops from this side of both the squares. Very lightly keep stitching the 2 squares together like this, and at this stage we are not going to tighten the stitch. Keep it loose. Front loop of back square, front loop of front square, and from this side into the front loop, into the front loop. We're going to sew these 2 squares together. I have reached the corner. Remove the marker. Second last stitch into the front loop from this side, into the front loop of that square, and then at the corner straightaway you can insert the needle from the corner stitches like this. This is how it looks. Now flip it over like this. This is how it looks from the front at this stage. Now we have the threads on both the sides. Tighten the thread by pulling them on the opposite sides, and this is the kind of thing that is created. See how clean it has come. This is seamless and it looks so neat and clean. So now flip it over and we are going to tie the knots at the corners. With the help of needle, put the knots in the corner back stitches. Then onto the other side, make sure that you stretch it properly, else it will show up onto the front like this. So just tighten it up like this, insert it into a needle and secure it well with the knots. On the back stitches of the square, like this, I will just secure by putting the knots, and I'm making sure that this stitch is stretched at the corner. Like this, secure the thread on both the sides. This is it. This is how we are going to join one more square here the same way. So here I have joined all the 3 squares together the same way. It has come up really clean. Now nextly I'm going to join this shade to make the first ever border here. You can choose the color of your choice. So at one of the corners, just join the yarn and chain 2, and in the very chain 2 space here, make 2 more HDCs. One, two, and chain 2, and into the same chain 2 space make 3 more HDCs. 1, 1, 2, and 3. And now into every upcoming stitch we are going to make 1 HDC at the top of it. So just keep making 1 HDC into every upcoming stitch. Keep the stitches a little tight, as that really gives a good texture. And I'll see you at the joint. So I've reached the joint stitch here, and at both the corners we are going to make a decrease. So yarn over, insert into the first corner, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert into the another corner, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all the loops on the hook, and this way we have made a decrease here. Now yarn over and make 1 HDC into every upcoming next HDC, and we'll be moving like this, making 1 HDC onto HDC till we reach the joint, where again we'll make a decrease at the corners. This is how it looks. So 1 HDC at the top of 1 HDC. Now I've reached the joint again, and here we're going to make a decrease again. Yarn over, insert into the corner, pull up a loop, and yarn over, insert into the other corner, draw up a loop, yarn over, pull through all the loops on the hook. Again, 1 decrease is being made here. Nextly, we'll be continuing by making 1 HDC onto 1 HDC till we reach the corner of this assembly. So I've reached the corner here. Into this chain 2 space, we will again create a corner here. 3 HDCs, 1, 2, 3, chain 2, and 3 HDCs in the same chain 2 corner space. One, 2, and 3. Now again We will be continuing making one HDC onto one HDC till we reach the corner, where again we will create a corner the same way. One HDC onto one HDC. Now I'm reaching the corner, a few stitches to go. Now I've reached the 3, and here again we'll be making 3 HDCs. Chain 2 and 3 HDCs in the same chain 2 corner space. 1, 2 and 3. So this is our third corner made, and like this only we'll proceed all along this way, making decreases at the joints, one HDC onto one HDC, in between making the corners, and then one HDC onto one HDC. So I finished the speech border here on all the sides, and next to make a lower border for the purse. So I'm going to join this orange shade here to make the lower border for the purse. So just take out the yarn and join it at one of the corners, the side that you wish to keep for the lower side of the purse, and chain 3. And here into every upcoming next stitch we will be making 1 DC onto every HDC. So just keep making 1 DC at the top of every HDC. 1 chain 3 in the corner, and then into the next HDC I made 1 DC, and so on. One DC onto every HDC. Like this we will move all the way till the end of this row. I've reached the end of this row, making the last few DCs. And in the joint stitch also I just made 1 DC at the top of it. So there has been no decrease in this row, and now this is the second last DC, and in the corner just 1 DC to finish it off. So this is one row of the lower border. We will make one more row, so chain 2 and turn the project, and here we will simply making 1 HDC at the top of every DC. So in every upcoming next stitch just keep making 1 HDC at the top of DCs. And we will be moving the same way till the end of this row. So here I've reached the end of this row, and 2 more to go. Yarn over 1 HDC into the second last, yarn over 1 HDC into the chain 3 of the beginning chain, of the previous round. So this is how I'll just fasten it off. Like this, and secure it. So this finishes this second line also. Now I will make the border on this side. So let's go ahead.